Hey guys, what's up? Did you know that most people who lose weight eventually put that weight back on plus more? But not everybody. There are people out there that lose weight and keep it off forever. And today I'm going to break that down for you. I'm going to talk about what their behaviors, habits, how they do it, what they're doing to keep it off. And I'm going to refer to the National Weight Loss Registry because this is a place that has been looking at people for years and years, actually decades, and learning from the people that have lost at least 30 pounds, if and most more, have kept it off for at least a year, and what they're doing to maintain that loss. Because we can learn from those people. We're pretty good at losing weight. It's the maintaining part that has become the problem. So let's look at what they're doing right. I'm going to compare what I've been doing as well, because I've lost 50 pounds and I have kept it off for nearly 2 years at this point. And I think I've been doing a lot of the same things that these folks have been doing. So I'm looking down, I'm looking at some notes from the National Weight Loss Registry, which I think is really cool. So number 1, calorie control and portions. In their maintenance journey, they are still controlling for their calories. They're still tracking them. They are still keeping within a certain range, and they are making sure that if they go over, that they get back into control pretty quickly. What does that look like? Well, the average woman is consuming in maintenance about 1,400 calories. The average man is consuming in maintenance about 1,700. That doesn't mean there are people that are eating more and maintaining, and some may have to eat less. Again, this is going to depend on your height, your weight, your body composition, your activity level, and things of that nature. They're still planning their meals out. They're not just waking up and thinking, all right, what am I eating today? They plan everything out, which is what we kind of have to do when we lose weight, right? We have to plan out what our meals look like and be prepared. Because if we wing it, we're just gonna grab something that's probably not going to help us to keep that weight off. So for me, I'm always planning my foods, and I know exactly what I'm gonna eat, and I enjoy those foods as well. So they're not boring foods, they're enjoyable things that I look forward to eating every single day. Another thing that people do in maintenance is a lot of them avoid, eliminate, or really reduce the alcohol consumption. That's a huge one because alcohol has a lot of calories in it. And I don't know about you, but I don't really want to drink my calories. I'd rather eat them. And the added sugar part too. So alcohol has that added sugar, and alcohol has 7 calories a gram, which is a lot. It's almost as much as fat. So if you look at calorie for calorie, protein and carbohydrates have 4 calories a gram. Fat has 9 calories a gram, and alcohol has 7 calories a gram. So it's an easy way to sabotage your weight loss or your maintenance if you're drinking. So that is something that the folks that are maintaining really try to avoid. The processed food, that is something also that they are not eating a lot of. They're really keeping that limited to whole foods, natural foods. So kind of the similar, way you lost the weight is what they are doing to maintain it. They're just eating a little bit more, but it's pretty much the same types of foods. And then with the food portion, they are also limiting how much they go out to restaurants or get takeout, because it's really hard to know how many calories you're getting, what they're putting into the food, the sauces, how much butter, oil, things of that nature. So going out to eat or taking in is very limited. I do that myself as well. We generally go out or take in once a week on average. That's pretty much it. I like my home cooked meals. I like to know what I'm getting, how much I'm getting, and it's healthier that way. Now, exercise. For the maintainers in the weight loss registry, they moved on average 60 minutes a day. I know for some people that sounds like a lot. So what I would advise is starting small. If it means 5 minutes, then it's 5 minutes and you build it from there. It's just a matter of starting. But the fact remains, for the folks that have been maintaining, that are in this National Weight Loss Registry, they said that they move on average at least for 60 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be all in one shot, by the way. You can do 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, 20 minutes later, in the afternoon or evening. So however you want to break it up, that's fine. But that has been a huge way that folks have been able to maintain. For me personally, I like to get a lot of my workout in the morning. So I wake up, I put my weighted vest on, and I'll either go walk outside or hit the treadmill and walk on that. And I'll get my at least an hour in from walking. And then I like to incorporate more activity during the day because I really don't like sitting and I like being active during the day as well. Okay, the other point in maintaining weight would be to self-monitor. So what does that look like? These folks are stepping on the scale every day and they are weighing themselves. And I know that's controversial to some people because weighing yourself can be emotionally triggering. But the way that the folks in the National Registry look at it is it's a data point. They have learned to separate their emotions. The scale doesn't dictate who you are, the value you are as a person. It's really a data point. And if they see that the scale is starting to climb, then immediately they can get control from that. And that's what I do as well. I used to never weigh myself. I was terrified of the scale because it was so triggering and it would put me into depression and sadness and I would just feel awful. So I just avoided, didn't want to weigh myself. But on my weight loss journey, I realized that I needed to see if I was being successful or not and how to fix that. So I really tried to teach myself to not get attached to the scale from an emotional perspective. Look, there are still some days if the scale goes up or I'm like, oh my goodness, what happened? But I've really gotten so much better about that and it doesn't trigger me anymore. It also allows me to get control of things a lot faster because the last thing you want to do is lose all the weight and then the next thing you know, you turn around and you're 20 pounds more. Well, that's a lot more to take off now. But if you have a range, an allowable range for yourself, let's say, it could be 5-6 pounds where you can go up or down. If you get above that number, then okay, I got to tweak something. I got to pull back on something from most likely a diet perspective. Calorie creep came in. So it allows you to look at that data, make those changes a lot more efficiently and faster, and get back on track. Another thing that these folks are doing is they're still tracking their food. They are still logging, tracking, and monitoring what they eat. Because if that scale starts to go up, then they can look back on their food logs and go, ooh, where was it in here? How many calories? What was going on? What could I pull back on? An example of that is this happened to me where the scale was starting to go up a little bit and I thought, all right, I have to pull back a little bit. What can I pull back from? And I realized that I could pull back on how much cheese I was getting. Didn't really miss it. It's a lot of extra calories. And I could just pull back on that a little bit, as well as salad dressings. That's an easy calorie creep. You go from, 2-3 tablespoons of salad dressing and all of a sudden you're having more. Well, that could really add up. So it's much easier to look at what you could do to change things if you're tracking. I still track every day. It's become a habit. It's not a big deal. And if I do takeout or something, I just kind of put an estimate of what I think is in there. And I think I'm pretty close to it. But if you're doing your home cooked meals and whatnot, it's a lot easier to know definitively how much food you're having. And then the last thing with tracking, I'll mention would be to track and log your steps or your activity level. I do that as well. I just like to know how many steps I'm getting. And that's really easy these days. I have my Garmin watch. You can track on your phone, get a pedometer. There's so many different ways of being able to track steps. And I think it's pretty cool to look back and go, wow, I hit my 10,000 today. And doing that consistently over time, it's very rewarding and encouraging. And I also like to log my workouts, my strength workouts, and I do that as well so that I know what I'm doing and I can always look back on my progress from that. Okay, the last thing that these folks in the National Weight Loss Registry do is about their mind state or their mindset. They look at weight loss or dieting as not like a short-term thing. It's really a permanent shift in the mindset. It is a long-term journey. Losing weight is phase 1. Keeping it off is really phase 2, and it's unending. It's a never-ending journey. And there has to be a shift in your mental state, how you look at yourself, your daily habits, who you surround yourself with, your relationships, your relationship to food, people, everything. What you're doing on a day-to-day basis, how active, everything needs to be intentional. But once the habits are built, it really becomes second nature. An example of that is when I'm working, I have a stand-up desk, I have a tread pad, so that anytime I'm in a meeting where I'm not on camera, I can certainly put the tread pad on, get a lot of steps in. Sometimes I'll even do that when the video is on. I also try and be very intentional if I'm in a lot of meetings that I take a break and I go and do something. So even if it's 10 minutes of doing squats, push-ups, walking, getting outside, getting in the sun, just doing something that's good for me, I'm very intentional about that as well. And it really helps the whole journey and helps you to maintain that weight loss. Okay, and the very, very last thing that I want to end with is the folks in the National Weight Loss Registry who have been maintaining, again, over a year, at least 30 pounds of a weight loss. They don't look at cheat meals. They incorporate some indulgences or treats, but they're not cheating on themselves. It's part of the journey. It's part of maintaining. It's part of their lifestyle. As an example, I just went on vacation and I wasn't going to, stay really strict, with what I'm eating as I'm on vacation. But I also wasn't going to allow myself to go off the deep end because I just didn't want to do that. I knew I wouldn't feel good about myself. So I had some indulgences that I felt were indulgences for myself. But I also stuck to, my normal eating plan where I was very protein centric, lots of vegetables, low on the starchy carbs, but I did have, some more carbohydrates. I also did not drink any alcohol because that's something that I'm just not really interested in. And again, I'd rather eat my food calories, not drink my food calories. So you have to be able to allow some of those things into your life because that's part of life. You're going to have events, you're going to have parties, you're going to have vacations. There's going to be times when you need that flexibility to be able to do that. And when you get to that maintenance level and you get more confident that you're going to stay there, you're going to be able to have the flexibility. And the other point is if you really indulge, know that that's a one-time thing. It's a day or a meal. It's not going to swing you so far in the other direction unless you allow that to happen. Now, some people where that happens and then all of a sudden I blew it, and weeks or months and they just keep blowing it. Well, yeah, that's pretty much how people gain the weight back, is that something triggers them and they just fall way off the wagon. I've been there, I've done it. It's so depressing almost to be like, oh, I feel like I blew it, but you didn't. And the fact is you can just get right back on. Who cares? Wipe yourself off and just keep going, because being consistent with your nutrition, your diet, your activity level, how you treat yourself, at the end of the day, those are the things that will keep you in that maintenance zone that will keep that weight off. We put too much hard work into losing the weight to gain it back. We've all done it before, but now is the time that we're going to keep it off forever. And we're going to do it, and we're going to enjoy the journey. We're going to still enjoy the foods that we're eating, and we're going to enjoy living life. But if you are able to implement some of these behaviors and habits, doesn't necessarily mean all of them, but the vast majority of these, then you could be assured that once you hit your goal weight, you'll be able to continue that maintenance journey forever. So I would love to hear from you. If you're maintaining right now or getting close to that, what are you doing to maintain? What are some of these habits or behaviors that you have implemented that have worked for you? Because if it's worked for you, it can help someone else as well. Again, if you got something out of this video, please hit the like, hit subscribe. If you want to hear about the next video drops coming in, you'll be the first to hear about that. Share it with a friend, and I will see you in my next video. Stay strong.